Good evening and welcome to the Monday, May 20th meeting of the Hoover City Council. We're very pleased each of you have decided to spend the next hour or so with us. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask the clerk please call the roll.
Council President Lyda.
Here.
Council Pro-Tem Posey. Here. Councilmember Swiney.
Here.
Councilmember Driver. Here. Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Middlebrooks.
Here.
Councilmember McClinton.
Here.
With a quorum present, we will proceed with our meeting. If everyone will please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge to be led by Councilor Driver.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today. We thank you for just all that we can do for the SEC as it's here this week. I thank you for all the visitors here, for all our citizens, for everybody that has a hand in the SEC and making it be what it can be to be the best. And I thank you also for just protecting everybody this week as they're at the SEC, and I thank you for also just being with our leaders tonight and for giving them wisdom and understanding. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to turn the program over to the mayor. I know he has an announcement or a employee recognition.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I think this is one of the favorite times that we have during council meeting, and that is to recognize some of our longtime city employees. And tonight we have one Fire Battalion Chief, Stephen Key. Steve, come on down. Chief Key was hired with the city of Hoover in 1994. He began his career at Fire Station 7 out in Inverness. And during his time there, he's been assigned to a number of the fire stations across the city and done a great job. His longest assignment was at Fire Station 3 in River Chase. He was promoted through the ranks and was promoted to Battalion Chief in July of 2023, so he's a newly promoted chief, not quite a year yet. Currently back at Station 7 is Battalion 2, which covers the eastern side of town and all of our Shelby County fire stations as well. And Chief Key oversees all of the station maintenance, repairs for Station 3, 7, 8, and 9, and he's married to his wife Melanie. And again, like most of these firefighters that come up here, I had the pleasure of working with them. And this is one of the great guys in the department. Of course, I always have great guys, Steve. So he's just been a pleasure to work with. He does a wonderful job. He has a tremendous work ethic, a great leader on the fire ground, and we're so grateful that he's given 30 years to the city of Hoover, and we wish him many, many more years here in serving our city. Thank you so much, Steve.
I'd like to invite Mr. Reeves up for a stormwater presentation. Reeves and team, I should say.
Thank you, Mr. Lyda. I don't think any of you are older than I am, but the handouts are for those of us who might be somewhat age impaired and visually challenged. So hopefully this will help you read some of the information we presented. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity tonight to give you an update on stormwater. Stormwater is one of the most challenging issues we deal with here at the city. It's not only unique to the city of Hoover, but it's unique to municipalities and counties all throughout the state. As you can see on the title sheet, our entire staff is involved in our stormwater management program. Most of those individuals are here with me tonight, so they can help me answer questions if you have any throughout the presentation. Stormwater issues do affect everything that we manage in our department, regardless whether it's a construction project, resurfacing, planning, zoning, permitting, traffic operations, or managing wastewater treatment plants. Stormwater is always an issue that we have to deal with. There's a lot of information that included in these handouts and in this presentation you'll see tonight. I will not go into detail on every item that's listed, but if you do have any questions or need additional information, please let me or our staff know, and we'll be glad to get that information to you. Wendy, can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Based solely on my memory, the last stormwater update was given by Mr. Rice before he retired. So we wanted to make sure we had closure on the projects that we've been authorized by the City Council after the October 6, 2021 storm event. The first couple of slides, slide 2 and 3, summarize those projects. This information presented includes the resolution numbers and the associated final construction costs for each of these projects. All of these 22 projects as listed have been completed to date. Slides 4, 5, and 6 include additional stormwater projects that we've been working on since the 2021 storm event. These projects have been authorized by City Council resolutions, or the work was located in city maintained areas, and we were able to fund those by our miscellaneous drainage funds that are allocated in our operating budget each year. The average miscellaneous drainage budget each year is right around $300,000. Note that projects 15A, B, and C, I believe it's on the previous sheet, were bid as one project, so that total cost was $300,000. That's why there are no numbers in that. All projects listed on the slides 4 and 5, or projects through 22, as shown, have also been completed to date. The design work for projects numbered 23 through 28 is shown on slide 6. It's currently being finalized. We hope to have a majority of these projects under construction this summer while school is out, because we will have to close several roads to install these new culverts. Aging pipe and failing infrastructure is the cause for most of these projects. Projects number 29 and 30 is listed, currently being handled by the City Attorney's Office. Any questions regarding those two projects or the resolutions need to be directed to the City Attorney's Office. Stormwater project information provided in these last 3 or 4 slides do not include any of the remaining future public projects that were identified in the shoal studies we have performed in 2022. Those projects have been prioritized by our staff on a level of urgency, and we will be presenting those to the City Council and Administration in our next budget based on those priorities. Note that the city will continue to face the challenges of an aging stormwater system, infrastructure system in the older communities, and we will continue to have issues with the corrugated metal pipes failing, because most of those are at their useful life of 50 years plus. Go to the next slide, Lynn. Thank you. This slide summarizes the bridge maintenance. The city currently maintains 20 bridge structures within the city limits. The state requires that these bridge structures be inspected at a minimum every 2 years. This table summarizes the maintenance activities required per those inspections and the associated costs for the past 2 years. We do have 2 items remaining to be finished this summer. Again, we'll have to close these bridges temporarily to do this minor work on these bridge decks. The total funding allocated for construction or maintenance projects to date since the October 6, 21 storm event, excluding any work that's been performed by our Public Works Department, is approximately $8,579,000. In 2023, the state of Alabama passed a much needed Dam Legislation Safety Act. The Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, or DECA, conducted a cursory evaluation of the city-owned and maintained dams earlier this year. Any deficiencies noted in those evaluations will be addressed by our Public Works Department. The work primarily consists of removing vegetation and debris from those facilities. Note in addition, these facilities are looked at every year as part of our MS4 program. One of our goals for this next year is to establish a program very similar to the bridge inspection maintenance program, where these dams are looked at a minimum of every 2 years. There are other privately owned and maintained dams located in the city. We'll be working on a process as well to encourage those private property owners to ensure maintenance of those facilities as well. Our staff will be working on this summer as well, and hopefully we can have something to present to y'all later this year. Slide 9 indicates the number of stormwater requests or calls our office has received since the October 6, 21 storm. Just the standalone October 6 event, we received 390 calls or requests. And that was for that one event. So that was a major event, as you all know. In 2022, we received a total of 216 calls, 297 calls or requests. And this year, fortunately, we've only had 40 calls or requests. We've had a relatively mild storm season this spring, and the rainfall intensity has not been what we've experienced the past few years. It could be that, or stormwater issues have been overshadowed by the trash issues we've been. The city does collect stormwater fees each year based on the criteria outlined in the ordinance number 182319. The city levies an annual flat fee of $10 to each private property owner and a half cent per square foot of commercial space for commercial property. The commercial fee, of course, for these properties is capped at $3,000. As shown, the city collects approximately $600,000 per year from these fees. We are currently preparing the fees for Jefferson and Shelby County for fiscal year 24. Everything's in arrears, and we'll have that information submitted to those counties this summer. The funds collected are used to support our MS4 program, and they assist with stormwater projects as allowed. In June 2020, ADM did conduct an on-site audit of our MS4 program. The city's program received the highest marks available, which is satisfactory for all of the audited elements. ADM performs these audits every 5 years at a maximum. The 2023 MS4 annual report, the Hoover Stormwater Management Program Plan, and the ADM audit report can be viewed on the city's website at the address shown on this slide. I note that the MS4 program not only involves the engineering department, it involves several departments here at the city. It involves the fire department, our planning zoning department, our fleet department, public works, building inspections, and park and rec. So there's a large part of the city that is involved in our MS4 program. Just an update, we're currently in the process of working with ADM for the city to be issued a new NPDES permit. Our current permit did expire on January 31st of 2023, but has been administratively extended by ADM until a new permit can be issued. The city is currently waiting on ADM to provide a response to comments received during the public hearing that was held here at the City Council Chambers in October of this last year. We do not have any indication from ADM at this time when they will have their responses completed or when they'll be ready to issue us a new permit. This timeline of the issuance of the new permit is controlled by ADM. Wanted to touch briefly on the FEMA Flood Mitigation Assistance Grant Program. In August of 2022, the City Council authorized staff to execute and submit required applications for the city to participate in this program. The floodplain ordinance is administered actually by our Building Inspections Department. I thought it was important to give you an update on where this was. A total of 5 properties were selected based on the FEMA's eligibility requirements that included being located within a special flood hazard and having an active flood insurance policy. These properties were not selected in fiscal year 23 as part of the grant process, but they have been resubmitted by our staff for consideration in fiscal year 24. The homes that met the criteria or included in the grant application include the following: 1641 Keswick Drive, 1644 Keswick Drive, 1720 Keswick Drive, 1724 Keswick Drive, and 3501 Ridgecrest Drive. We expect to hear about this grant later this summer, so hopefully we'll be selected for that. We'll keep you updated as that information is available. Last several months, we have been working on some proposed changes to the city's erosion and sediment control ordinance. Some of the proposed changes include items that are listed. We'll have more items. This has been a very intensive process. Anytime you change an ordinance, it is very labor intensive. We have to make sure that what we're doing is legal. It's a lot of time from our staff to go back through and put this together. So everyone sitting here tonight has been a part of that process. We hope to have this finished later this summer, if not sooner, to have that for y'all to review. And that was all the update I had for you tonight. I don't know what else that I can offer you. I appreciate your time tonight. If you have any questions for me or staff, again, we're all here, as well as our stormwater consultant, Dwayne Smith of Hydro Solutions, who manages our MS4 program.
Yeah, a couple of questions for you. First of all, Chris, thank you so much for the level of detail and all the work you put behind what you do. Now, so engineering department, so the stormwater piece is one of how many different departments up under your leadership, or divisions, rather? Several, okay.
Several.
How many individuals are strictly assigning employees to stormwater? That's their role.
Full-time, I will say 2, Mr. Marlin and Mr. Welch, and both of them are here tonight, as well as Mr. Smith, who is our MS4 consultant.
So they're strictly responsible, no other additional duties, they're strictly responsible for that. Not other duties required in your job description, of course, but I'm just asking.
Mr. Marlin is full-time to that. Mr. Welch does have other duties that he is responsible for at the city.
Okay, so I did want to, Mayor, I know we'll talk about some things, but just matter of record, we only have one full-time person to perform all inspection duties, project management, you name it, for the city of Hoover for 45 square mile area, 6th largest city in the state. So they want to make sure when it's time for budget time, we look at that from a city standpoint, or whatever else the mayor needs. Another thing too, can this, since this is public, can we put this deck on the public website? I'll ask Mayor, since this is a public document at this point, we can just put this deck on the website. The dams itself, are any of these high hazard dams at all, or just?
No, sir.
No, so we have no high hazard dams for fatality purposes. And the projects that was identified by the Shoals report, if you don't know this, Chris, you can just get it another time off the top of your head. How many projects were established under that report compared to how many we have remaining?
Can I get you that
You sure
information?
can.
I know we've addressed several of them, but we do have several remaining, so I can get you that information.
Okay, that would be great. And then on the next meeting, we can give an update on that piece of it. And just so I'll be clear, and I'll close it here, the slide 1 through 4, 1 through 3, equates to about $918,000. This, is it a total amount? Are any of these projects overlapping with each other? Is it a total amount that's been spent between that 2021, 2024? I may be missing that because I haven't reviewed this.
Yes, sir. I think if you, I apologize, I don't have a copy of what I gave you, but I think each table has a total at the top.
Okay.
So that is the total
Individual.
for that individual
Okay.
resolution or table.
Yeah.
And
So they're not overlapping in the
no,
slide?
sir, they are
Okay.
not overlapping.
Gotcha.
The total amount was that 8 million
Okay.
number.
So 2020, October 6, 2021 to basically present day, we spent close to about $9 million in stormwater fees with roughly $10 annually that we get from residential
And
with
commercial
one,
fees.
with one person that's assigned to. All right. Thank you all so much.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Reeves? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
I want to recognize some guests in the audience who serve our city tonight. Mr. Jeremy Weiss from our Park and Rec Board is here, Ms. Amy Tosney, and Mr. Alan Paquette from our Board of Ed. Would y'all please make them welcome? We will now move to our consent agenda. Hopefully everyone has an agenda in front of you. Items 1 through 7 are presented as consent items where they will be read together, and we will have one motion and one vote. You can see those items on the screen in front of you. I would ask, is any member here who would like to remove items 1 through 7? Any member of the public here who would like to speak on items 1 through 7? If so, we'll be happy to remove it. Hearing and seeing none, Mr. Corley, please read the item.
Item number 1 is the payment of the bills are submitted for approval. Item 2, the minutes from the February 29th, 2024 work session and the March 4th, 2024 meeting are submitted for approval. Resolution 810124 authorizes participation of the city in the 2024 back-to-school sales tax holiday, which will start at 12:01 a.m. on Friday, July 19th, and end at 12 midnight on Sunday, July 21st, 2024. Resolution number 810224 accepts a bid for bid number 24-006, addition of sidewalks on Sulphur Springs Road and Alcea Road for the city of Hoover, Alabama from CB&A Construction LLC in an amount not to exceed $414,535.54 and authorizes Mayor Mercado to execute an agreement for the same. Resolution 810424 amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024 for certain sewer expenditures detailed on the exhibit to the resolution. Resolution 810524 declares certain personal property detailed on Exhibit 1 attached to the resolution as not needed for public or municipal purposes and authorizes Mayor Mercado to dispose of such personal property by way of donation, auction, or recycling. Resolution 810724 authorizes the mayor to execute a tax abatement agreement with OHD LLLP as shown on Exhibit 1 attached to the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of all items on the consent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. I'd also like to recognize former Councilman Joe Reeves. Joe, I couldn't see you for a van sitting in front of you there. You had me blocked. But thank you, Joe, for being here. Item number 8, we'll begin with the regular agenda. Resolution number 8117-24, Mr. Court.
This resolution authorizes the city administrator to activate and seek penalties as necessary in the solid waste collection and disposal contract with the Cahaba Solid Waste Disposal Authority and to negotiate and seek recovery of actual costs incurred by the city for its rendered solid waste collection services and expended administrative costs. Also to enter into such agreements as necessary with the Cahaba Solid Waste Authority as necessary to compensate the city for missed pickups and costs incurred today, and also to extend the authority to negotiate on the city's behalf and enter into agreements as may be necessary with the Cahaba Solid Waste Disposal Authority to facilitate satisfactory and efficient solid waste collection and disposal.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8117-24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Brown.
I'm going to go ahead and vote. All right, so we went through this presentation Thursday. We'll do it again. So Wendy, if you'll pull this up. Obviously, we do have representatives of Amwaste, and thank y'all for coming tonight. So we have a variety of challenges with this, and that resolution was unique in the sense that we are trying to reimburse public expenses that have been utilized. And what we're focusing on tonight is the period of time from March 25th to April 26th. So today we're at May 20th, so this is close to a month ago now. But this is a period of time where we had a significant loss of good service when it came to it. And so this was also for all of our citizens, this was a rerouting that began not only here, but in Mountain Brook and in Pelham, eliminating Wednesday, Saturday service. So the main challenge that I come back to is kind of telling a quick story is that this was an effort to squeeze down to 4 days, create efficiencies, and ultimately improve service by not having the Saturday service specifically. That during that early period did not work as well as we had hoped. And I think Amwaste admits that. And just to give a couple of numbers, if you compare to our December and our January when we had the holiday issues, we were somewhere in the neighborhood total of just over 1,500 reported misses for the month of December and January. And you remember the issues we were having and some of that. Well, in a 2-week period, we exceeded 1,000 missed pickups in that reroute. And then that grew today, where we're sitting at roughly 8 weeks since that time of March 25th, at reported misses of over 3,100. So 3,102 is the number for today, or as of May 19th. Okay, so good comparisons on a daily basis factored against monthly comparisons in the past. So what you have, next slide. What the staff has done is basically taken that period, again, March 25th to April 26th, just to give us a 1-month breakdown. And you say, well, why was that? Well, we were trying to give a comparison because they do a monthly billing for the city. And so basically what we're proposing through this is to deduct the total amount off of the monthly billed amount. That way it's all taken care of. So 2,138, so 2,138 reported misses. Reported is the key word because it is so important for us to continue in our messaging to ask our citizens to report when their parcel is missed at their residential pickup and or their streets. So a lot of times people have gotten to the point now after 8 weeks of really a lot of challenges with the missed pickups is that they just think nobody's listening. I think that's part of the challenge. I'm not speaking for them, but we've heard that many, many times. So it's important for us to continue our message. Reported misses are the way we in Amwaste can see what is where. And it also identifies streets that are missed. So sometimes you may be the only one on your street reporting when the entire street misses it. So let's move on to the next slide. So the city staff broke this down, our public resources that have been expended. We broke it down into 3 categories: operations, call center, and management. So the operations are miss curbside and backdoor pickups. This is where we were responding, use of existing fleet equipment, and we also purchased the trash truck to be able to respond and trying to offer some support where we could with missed pickups when they were so extensive. The call center is basically, you could say, the city clerk's office. For a long period of time, everyone in the staff was just consumed. And so taking all the complaints, concerns, and missed pickups. I don't want the citizens to feel like they're bothering us. This is a service. So it's very important that the message is always spread appropriately, that please tell us so we can respond. We want the citizens to understand we absolutely want your trash picked up. And so this is important for us. So the city clerk's office became the hub of that, working directly with Amwaste and communicating that. Not only that, but researching the routes, following up, trying to respond back to people. A lot of frustrations during that time when we were struggling to get people to a specific area, again, where neighborhoods entirely, streets and cul-de-sacs were missed. Management was a whole variety. We took out the mayor's office specifically, but we do have from my office, Public Works Director, you've got our operations, and just a whole lot of staff involved with everything that was going on really for that period of time. And again, for this, we're talking about 1 month of service. All right, next slide. So here are some of the costs when we talk about the operations section. This was the first of the 3. And so basically where we have this, and we did include the capital asset purchase of the truck, because had the service not reached a level that was so dire at that point with how many things were missed pickups, we would not have needed that asset. We were blessed in the fact that the city of Alabaster actually had that asset, and it was a good truck for us where we needed to start on that large size. Again, that truck can run 800, 900 cans. The truck that we had before can run up to 100. So very different what it can do in a day's time. So with that, and we have agreed that with Mr. Swiney that we'll sit down and talk about future use and some of the things that we can maybe work out with them, with us, with that truck and the value of that. So next slide. The call center, these are some of the numbers you can see, and so basically we're taking it on a per ticket basis. Interesting, our staff came up with on our side, time per ticket is about, I think that's a 16 minutes per ticket. This is what the clerk staff was dealing with, and it was consuming, as you can look at the numbers that was happening on each day. Then we looked at the time per ticket, roughly 8 minutes, when we talk about citizen entered tickets, because there was still a lot of correspondence of us and how we were trying to help. Now, I really want to commend the staff, not just in this clerk's office, some through the mayor's office, through my office, and then ultimately Public Works, especially with a lot of the staff they were utilizing, because this became just everything on some days. All right, next slide. Final is management. Now this is an example of something that will be presented to the Cobb Solid Waste Authority in a future meeting that we came up with, trying to create a sliding scale. So it's based on a percentage of the service level. So if you look to the left of trying to create what is acceptable, right? So when my whole life I've seen Alabama Power commercials of 99.9% reliable. Okay, so there's that 0.1, 0.01 that's sitting there. So when you're dealing with it, we're trying to find what is acceptable here, because we do have 58,000 pickups going on per week in our city, with 2 pickups per week. And so with that, you can see the various issues, and we came up with an estimate based on a percentage of what that would cost based on, in this case, our various hourly rates across the board for what management was included. All right, so next slide. So the summary ends up being $171,323.71 for that period of time that we are proposing to deduct off of the bills that we will pay. And then hopefully we will see a great reduction, which we've already seen for the last 2 weeks, as we look toward, 2 weeks ago was 352 missed pickups for that week. And then this past week, ending on May 19th, was 144 missed pickups. So we're seeing a reduction from the peak of 705 in 1 week, but we're still far ahead, because if you do that times roughly 4 weeks, we're still running in the 500-600 missed pickups reported per month. And again, reported is key, because we may get one, sometimes none, or we may get one on the street, and that may include 15 houses. So you can see where the ratio is a difficult one for us, and that's why we're trying to create a sliding scale that would relate to all members of the Cobb Solid Waste Authority in the future with how we deal with this. The contract is very difficult from its standpoint of rectifying missed pickups, and that's just not how we've been able to process in this case, because I talked about the second pickup for recycling, where we typically tell our residents, second pickup of the week goes to be recycled. Well, the challenge is now for 8 weeks, we've had a lot of neighborhoods that don't get a first pickup. So if they don't get a second pickup, they definitely are not recycling, and they're very frustrated about not only trash, but recycling as well. So we've got to rebuild that confidence in the fact that we can get back on a regular routine system of twice a week pickup, and we can get that second pickup a week to be recycled, so they can begin to sort and how they want to participate with that. So that is a difficult thing. I think Amwaste knows that. They've sent some materials of how we're going to be able to communicate out. So with that, a lot of changes on the horizon, I hope. Any questions?
Now, we have Amwaste representatives here as well. Thank you both for your attendance. Any questions for Mr. Grimes?
Yes, Mr. Grimes, I just want to thank you for the work you've done through this. Wendy, our city clerk, and her office, you guys have really stepped up, and I certainly appreciate all your work, and to the Public Works Department as well that you mentioned. We started out so well, and look, I see Rick back there, and Rick, I appreciate you being so responsive for when I have sent you issues. My frustration stems from having to continuously send the same issues over and over and over again. I related through one of my social media posts recently how this gentleman in Greystone gave me a call and gave me a pretty good talking to. He used a little more colorful language, but he's basically like, "Look, they missed me again. This is like the 5th time he's called me. I can't offer any apologies after that." I said, "Look, my wife's on my tail, so now I'm calling to get on your tail." So I can't blame him. I just want it fixed, the recurring issues. And a lot of these seem to be backdoor services. So these are the elderly or people with disabilities, just stories of older ladies just fretting over whether their trash is gonna get picked up or not. I think you guys can get there. We've seen it. So I know you can. But my level of frustration right now is if we can't get this fixed, and I don't want to go down this route, but right now the only thing I see to provide the level of service that our citizens deserve and that we expect would be to start our own department. And that is a hefty cost that I don't necessarily want to go down. So I hope for all of our sakes that this gets rectified and we have a beautiful relationship moving forward.
Any other comments, questions? Very good. We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Item number 9 is resolution 8103-24. Mr. Curt.
This resolution amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024 for legal services for Holland and Knight regarding the City of Hoover Healthcare Authority for the Certificate of Need.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8103-24.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions or comments from the body?
Yes, sir. I'd like to know of this amount, and I know we have a bill that has to get paid, I get that. Of this amount, how much is what we owe currently, and how much is a projection going forward?
Got that, hold on 1 second.
Thank you.
So the total amount due today, and I'm gonna give you 3 months totals. 3 months totals, $85,196.39 from February. March 13th, the bill was $39,627.50, and then April 15th is $28,766.50. And then we had an outstanding amount from previous months, so the total currently due is $227,364.47. Now, the reason that is still outstanding, we needed to get to a point where we could determine, are we opposed or unopposed? And then, from that point, we would have an estimate for the rest of the year. The reason was the budget was not strong enough in budgeted dollars to cover this full total amount. So with that moving forward, we're presenting a budget amendment to you today for $500,000, which is the remaining estimate for moving forward through September 30th to get us the certificate of need completion of that process, because we are unfortunately opposed. So there's a cost to the citizens today of an estimate of an additional, I think, $250,000 plus just an estimate of what it's going to take to accomplish the certificate of need due to the unfortunate opposition on the certificate of need. And we knew that going in. I know there's been discussions about that as to it's going to cost a lot more if we are opposed, and we are opposed.
Any other questions for Mr. Grimes?
Did that answer your question?
I got one.
Okay.
What was the original budgeted for attorney fees through the HCA for this project?
I gotta believe it was somewhere under 150 or so as a guess. A lot of these were in economic development because of the nature of the project. I don't know the specific because do you know, Colin? No. I really don't know what that was from when the Hoover Healthcare Authority began its process toward the CON, which was before I got here, and to up to that.
Can anybody answer that? So we don't know how far over budget we are if we don't know the original budget.
I would say that is correct. today. I think from everything I can tell, you were under budgeted on the whole process. And I can't answer as to why that was, those folks are not here. But I do want to stress, so the total is to get us through this fiscal year, September 30th, with the estimate of what it'll take for time to get through these hearings and to get through to the CON final decision by the board.
I'll admit that's concerning to me. Look, I wasn't in favor of the original deal. I stand by that. I think we oversold ourselves on it, but we did. It's been approved, and now we have to stand behind it and get the deal done, or else we're up the creek. So, wow, puts us behind the 8 ball.
Any other comments from the body?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
One more question on this. That gets us to the end of the fiscal year.
Yes.
Do we anticipate that this will go into the next fiscal year?
The CON, yay or nay?
Yes.
Could it go into 2025?
If the intervener determines to take it to the court system, it could continue. We expect this project to go to the CON Review Board in August or September, and then they have the right, if they're unsuccessful, to appeal the court. I would hope, since the intervener is a Hoover resident and operator of a Hoover healthcare facility, that would not occur. It is a right.
We've been very critical of legal as of late. Had a lot of discussions about legal. My opinion is that we need to perhaps spend some time as a council, have some meetings, look at some things, the same things we did before with legal bills, and let's figure out where we're going with this and how far it's going to take to get there. I really think another couple of weeks would be a good time to get that done, in my opinion. Understand the whole schematic of where we're going, how big a fight this could be, how long this could be. I think that's important for the council to understand. Because of that, I would move to continue this till 2 weeks from now and then take it up then. And in that time, if we could get together and have some meetings, Mr. Corley or Mr. Luke, whoever, to have some meetings and understand, get a better understanding as a council of what we're facing, where we're headed, and the cost with that. Because, like you said, the people are on the hook for this. And I think as representatives of people, we need to understand how deep this is, how deep this can get, all of those things. So I move to continue for 2 weeks.
Okay, before that, just impact-wise, because, someone stated kind of down the road now, right? So what impact with the delay of just continue this for 2 weeks? What's the impact? Is it an impact?
Well, I would say that, that's probably fine. Mr. Paquette, you want to come up here? So I would say it's probably fine. I would say that these legal bills that have been accrued for the last several months includes the application fee as well.
We've got a motion for continuance. May I get a second for purposes of discussion?
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Thank you very much.
What I will say is the actual, yeah, I'm with the Healthcare Authority, in case you didn't know that, Alan Paquette. Our hearing begins next Tuesday. So I guess the phrase would be time is of the essence. We're too far to turn back. We have to get that hearing started. If we can get through that hearing and we get a favorable ruling, and then the August-September CON hearing is realistic. A delay in that would be detrimental, in my opinion.
So, attorneys will put pencils down if we don't do this? Is that the legal?
No, we're not going to do that.
Okay,
We're gonna leave you hanging.
Okay. So, I was said we just.
Any other comments on the motion to continue? We have a motion and a second to continue the item to the next meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll move to item number 10, resolution number 8108-24, Mr. Court.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance at 1697 Montgomery Highway, Hoover, Alabama, and directs the abatement pursuant to Alabama law.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8108-24.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Martin, 'tis the season for these. If you'd just give us an update from Thursday, that'd be great.
Yes, sir. Concerning 1697 Montgomery Highway, there's still a nuisance on the site that needs abatement.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the body? Anyone from the public like to speak on that item? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item number 11, resolution number 8109-24, Mr. Court.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance at 1729 Monteagle Drive, Hoover, Alabama, and directs abatement pursuant to Alabama law.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8109-24.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Martin.
Yes, Mr. President, according to code enforcement, this particular location, 1729 Monteagle Drive, has been cut to our satisfaction. So no need for abatement on this particular property.
Very good. I entertain a motion to withdraw.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to withdraw. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 12, not to get ahead of you, Mr. Martin, looks like it's also been cut. Entertain a motion to withdraw resolution number 8110-24.
Mr. President, I move to withdraw resolution number 811-24.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item number 13, resolution 8111-24. Mr. Corley.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance at 2337 Tyler Road, Hoover, Alabama, and directs the abatement of such nuisance.
I move for approval of resolution number 8111-24.
Second.
Motion and a second, Mr. Martin.
Our
Not such
good
good
fortune
news.
ends with this resolution. There is still a nuisance on the property needing abatement.
That is at 2337 Tyler Road. Any member of the body have a question or comment about this address? Any member of the public here to speak on this address? Hearing and seeing none, we have a motion second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 14, resolution number 8112-24, Mr. Court.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance at 3406 Flintshire Drive, Hoover, Alabama, and directs the abatement of that nuisance.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8112-24.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Mr. Martin.
This address also still has a nuisance in need of abatement.
3406 Flintshire, any questions or comments from the body? Any from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We now move to item number 15, ordinance number 24-2637. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends ordinance number 263 to rezone property located at 44 Inverness Central Parkway, further described and shown on Exhibit A attached to the ordinance from PUDPO, Planned Unit Development Planned Office, to Planned Unit Development Planned Commercial District. A public hearing is scheduled for May 20th, 2024, which is tomorrow.
Mr. President, I move to adopt ordinance number 24-2637.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Martin, I know this is the second reading. We've had a presentation previously Thursday night. It was reviewed. But I do believe we have a representative of the applicant here tonight.
Yes, sir, that is correct. The applicant is here tonight with their own presentation. And just in summary, of course, the city administration recommended favorably when this was heard by the Planning Commission back in February. We recommended favorably on this with conditions. The developer is responsible for the improvements recommended in the traffic study. Developer shall include a crosswalk across the western entrance to the site along the 10-foot wide greenway route, which they are extending. Other staff comments were that the comprehensive plan supports adaptive reuse of office parks and mixed-use employment center development in the vicinity. And the Planning Commission voted unanimously in favor of recommending this to the body. I'll ask at this time if a representative from the developer, Stoller Group, will come and share their presentation with you.
Thank you. My name is Prescott Bailey with the Stowe Group from Hammond, Louisiana. We're a commercial real estate developer that's working on this project. And I'll start with we've got a giant lake out there with adequate stormwater, and we're great at erosion controls. We do valet trash, so we shouldn't be a trash nuisance. And we have on-site maintenance, so hopefully I don't think we'll ever be on your abatement list. So from those, I think we'll be covered. I think if we can go to the next slide, I believe. Yeah, that'll give you kind of an idea of the location of the project. I know Thursday you guys went kind of in depth on a lot of this, but I'll try to be brief on everything. And wanted to talk a little bit about what we were excited about this project, and we've been working with Mac, Mayor, we've met with a couple of the council members over the last couple months, and really worked with them on the design of this project. What we like to do is go to communities and create mixed-use developments. We like to see walkable, our office guys want to be able to walk home, our residential guys want to be able to walk to work, they want to be able to walk to the boutique, the salon, the coffee shop, the restaurant. This site screamed repurpose for that exact use. It's a dilapidated, has been vacant office building park, which we're seeing across the country right now and in a lot of areas after COVID. The landowner, who is represented here as well, has really done a good job of starting to repurpose. They acquired this park somewhat at a fire sale. They've started repurposing it. It's a beautiful location, and most people don't really even realize it's there, but there's a giant lake, there's some trails. And so we came in and have been working with the developer because they said, look, a lot of our tenants are really looking at, you've got some excess land, is there any way to get a more mixed-use component here, because that's when we're trying to lease these buildings and when the tenants are showing up, that's what they're asking for. That's kind of the new thing. It's the way to keep these offices that are going dark from going dark. The ones that have those mixed-use components are still surviving and thriving. Actually, I was just in Raleigh, and they've got the kind of famous research triangle there, and it's been only office forever. And they are tearing down some major components and creating a residential mixed-use component of that research park because there's such a demand for that, and they realized that to continue to keep attracting these companies, they had to give them that component. So we're not the research triangle on this side, I will admit that, but this is in a kind of a microcosm of what we think we were trying to do there, and what we've seen consistently is successful in holding up values for the office, the residential, and retail, because the synergies across those really worked to give long-term value to a development. So that's what really drew us to this. What we're planning to do here would be on the back portion there, 289 high-end Class A residential units. So the apartments for really what we target is kind of what we call the bell curve, young professionals and older empty nesters. 92% of these units are 1- and 2-bedroom units. We actually used to put playgrounds when we first started doing these developments. No one ever used them. So we put in playgrounds because there just aren't families that go here. This is really that young professional that, nowadays, they don't actually really want to buy a house when they come out of college, or even, when they're still, in their early, mid-20s, even early 30s. I think I got my first house when I was 35, I'm 37 now. And so they want to be able to walk to work, and they want all the amenities. We're going to have luxury pools, co-working space, 24-hour fitness center, entertainment and game rooms. I mean, you name it, this has it. And that's what really attracts that portion of the demographic. On the bell curve side of that, we also the empty nesters, people that are just saying, you know what, I want something simple. I can lock my door and go travel for a couple months. I have nothing to worry about. I got valet trash. They pick it up at my door. It's wonderful. People come to our communities and they stay. They don't leave. On the retail side up front on Inverness Center Parkway, we're proposing about 30,000, give or take, retail square footage right there. What we work on is experience retail, so kind of destination, you know, if you can buy it on Amazon, we don't want it in there because those guys are kind of having a tough time now. Everybody can just order it to their door, but your salon, like your high-end salon, you know, a little cafe, your boutiques, you can, you know, those kind of things we want to put here. Kind of more of your neighborhood retail, maybe even a little light medical, kind of like a dermatology type place. As well as you can see there's a dock there on number 9. This lake is beautiful. We envision a kind of maybe even a destination restaurant that could be with an outdoor seating. It's just the outdoor area is incredible. And so we'd love to see that and we're trying to get some of the restaurateurs in the community to do that as well. So that could be really, really exciting. As far as the apartments, like I said, you know, these are 92% ones and twos. You know, rents are going to be very high end. We believe one bedrooms based on our market study will start about $1,800. So this is going to be a really class A, but we can, in all of our experience, we command those by offering really all the amenities and luxuries we just talked about. You know, you don't need a gym membership now. You know, you don't got to go rent an office even. You can use our co-working space if you live there. So really pretty attractive to our tenants there. As far as, I made it the next slide. Yeah, so we worked with the mayor, Mac, and we've really gone through multiple iterations of this project. Kind of when we started, the mayor and Mac, we got some feedback on, you know, look, this is kind of the look on what we like to see. We want to see something that's walkable, community feel, you know, tuck the parking in the back so you can't see a bunch of parking from the streetscape, things like that. And so we listened to that. We kept working the site plan over multiple iterations to get to something that we think will fit really well with the community. Let's see what else I got. So on some of the things, other things that we would look for typically, you know, traffic here. This site was actually already approved and is approved for another 6-story office building out there. So this actually, based on the traffic study, generates less traffic than what's currently approved there. And what that study doesn't really even account for is what we expect to be a large amount of walkability. You know, instead of people driving in from this and getting on 280 and going downtown to work, we really think that a lot of our young professionals that we're attracting here, we're targeting from the office. We're working hand in hand with the developer to get them to help us lease these. We're gonna have some kind of, what do you call them? I guess, you know, there's gonna be some perks to the synergy there. So it's gonna be a real big push to kind of have this all be together. So we don't want people even getting on the roads, but the traffic study, we're good on the traffic study based on what it shows, and we're actually going to even do a left turn improvement lane on Inverness Center Parkway into the development. Schools-wise, we've talked to the superintendent. Actually, in this area specifically, there's excess capacity right now. Apparently, there's not a lot of, you know, the young professionals that are going there, that are staying there in this area of specifically. And so he's actually, they've told us that there's excess capacity there. Again, based on our studies and all of our communities we've done, we don't actually get much that goes into the school district, but it was nice to hear that regardless. We're also good, you know, from a capacity standpoint on utilities, drainage. We've got a giant stormwater pond there as well. But yeah, we just, you know, look, we're excited about the project. We think it's the future of development. There's a lot of blighted office parks. There's actually, I believe, another one down, you know, where the Hertz building is right now over there. They've gone into bankruptcy. You know, they're not maintaining their grass. They're not cutting, you know, then the neighbors get mad. Well, they can't pay the bills. This is a way to keep these things thriving by creating this mixed use and hopefully get these filled up and really kind of create a new future of development in these areas. So we're excited about it. We're here to answer any questions you guys have, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the members? Mark?
Just a couple of comments, and without mentioning names, I believe this site once held the 6th largest emporium in Jefferson County before they moved out of Birmingham. And one thing, when I was in the private sector, that a lot of people move out of these big office places because there was lack of restaurants close by. You got to drive, and then your lunchtime is gone. So that's a good thing. I did have an opportunity, Mr. President, to talk to Dr. Maddox, and school systems typically, whenever, you know, they get 1,000 kids, their goal is to educate all of the students. But this one thing that Dr. Maddox, superintendent of Hoover Schools, did state that the area of these multifamily homes will go in will be on the east side of Hoover, so the impact of schools that are already consuming a lot of students will be limited. So when you stretch these students over elementary, middle, and high, it's very limited because a lot of that area, kids are in high school, out of high school, so they are empty nesters, so not much of an impact. So I did have an opportunity to speak with Dr. Maddox, so that's all I have.
Any other questions or comments?
I had a question. Is this
Any from the body?
Oh, I'm
You will get any others from the body. Now call on members of the public. Sir, you can be first. You can come up to the microphone, please.
Oh, my question was simple.
We need you in the microphone if you don't mind, please. You're recognized for 3 minutes. Any guest is welcome to comment for 3 minutes. If you'll just give us your name and address, please, we would appreciate that.
My name is Tony Nichols. I live in Inverness Point. I was curious about this property. You mentioned the Hertz Group, which I believe is in receivership right now. I'm assuming this does not incorporate the Hertz Group property.
No, that's right. We're not involved with that.
Okay, so my question, I guess, would be, we're getting mixed reviews on what's going with the Parkway and who's maintaining it and who's going to maintain it in the future. And there are three companies involved in that, and only one of them is in receivership. But yet nobody's paying. The two that aren't in receivership are paying money in to have their Parkway maintained, but yet nobody's maintaining it. And I guess my question, I thought this might fix some of that problem, but it sounds like this is something new. And I like what they're proposing here, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be a fix to the Hertz Group being in receivership. So do we have any answers as to what's going to happen with the Parkway maintenance? I mean, I've taken probably 50 pictures of just the poor state of the Parkway, and we got signs that have no letters. We got trash everywhere, debris, the grass is not getting cut. And I realize that if Hoover comes in and mows, they're just gonna bush hog. And that's not to our level. But I am curious about what is going to be done with the receivership of the property that does need to be addressed. But that's all.
Mr. Hickles, thank you. I know the city is aware of the issues you're describing on the Parkway, and our legal team has been working toward a resolution on those.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. Come on.
Thank you. My name is Elizabeth Maxwell. I am a member in the Inverness community, a homeowner for 4 years. We all have invested a great deal of money in our homes. I've been there 4 years, and our property values are climbing, and we're happy with that. But we're afraid with the increase in the amount of apartments, it's going to put a big push on the Parkway usage, cars. It's a real problem right now that's not addressed. We have speed limit 35, and we have multiple business, professional, and residential usage. There's no stop signs, there's no traffic lights anywhere along that Parkway for well over a couple of thousand people that come in and out daily on there. So that's what I want to know. How is that going to affect us?
Can we get your address, Ms. Maxwell?
I live at 3021 Summerwood Lane.
Thank you, ma'am. I know the gentleman in his presentation reviewed some findings from the traffic study. Do you have anything to add other than what you shared earlier?
No, other than just that the site is actually already approved for commercial uses from a development standpoint. You know, something will be going there that will probably have a similar amount of traffic, but the traffic study has accounted for that from what they saw, you know, in the grand scheme of what is going on here and, you know, at the future intersections. They don't see it creating any additional major, you know, impact, and the impact that we have made, we're addressing with adding a turn lane so that Inverness and Parkway flows better.
Or do you think possibility of getting some further evaluation of the traffic flow can be done before this is approved?
Well, that's up to the developer, and, you know, the item before the body tonight is to consider the request as is tonight.
If I can just make one statement, just keep in mind, and I think that building has been vacant, what is it, 5 years now?
2008.
Okay, so prior to that, and I should have been more clear, the sixth largest employer for Jefferson County was out of those buildings, including these, if I can recall, a Enterprise had a little sub rental station there as well too. So it was a lot of individuals in and out of that location, and so the Inverness will be able to maintain that traffic flow. So typically on a traffic study, you're interjecting a lot more than you have actually designed for, and what has been proven based upon, if I'm mistaken, they might have, and I don't like to mention names because it doesn't matter. They were there, what, 10 plus, 15, they were there 20, they were there about 20 years. So I personally, I don't have any concern from an engineering standpoint that it won't, and the additional things that they plan on doing will only help that out.
Well, I just like to stand that our neighborhood, Summerwood, opposes the development. We've had a discussion Sunday with all the majority of the homeowners.
Okay. What's the name of the development? I mean, your community?
Summerwood.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Mr. Sykes.
Good evening. My name is Van Sykes. I live at 3104 Lake Highland Lane. That's in Inverness Point. So I just wanted to say to your point about the largest employer and all, I've been driving that Parkway since the 90s. When what you're speaking of, they were all coming to work and we were all going to work. The traffic flow was circuitous. It's not going to be that way now because we're going to all be in a competition to go somewhere and get there by 8 o'clock, especially if you're going to school. I'd like to see the traffic study. You can't tell me all those people can turn on to Highway 280 and it's not going to affect the Parkway. The reason it flows on the Parkway now is there's nobody to make the traffic lights change. So it appears the Parkway's moving. When they put this in and those red lights come back on, I don't know who's studying this, but I drive it. I'm not a real estate guy, but I drive a car up and down that Parkway. Traffic will be a problem. I can't believe that we're just blowing the traffic off like there's nothing to it. A lot of times Hoover Police sits at the bottom of the Parkway writing speeding tickets. We have the little sign that flashes, slow down, slow down, slow down. We've built a pedestrian walkway right there on Inverness Parkway. You got babies and strollers, you got kids on bikes, people with ear pods, and you're gonna throw all these cars on that Parkway because they're not all gonna turn to 280. I ride it every day. If it's after 3 o'clock, you need to be on Valleydale if you want to go into the Inverness community. And at night, when I sit on my porch, the Parkway sounds like Barber Motor Speedway. I mean, I'm just telling you, them cars are flying up and down that hill. I can't imagine, especially with apartment dwellers, they're going to be driving at night and out, and how can the Parkway handle that? And why in the world would we build a pedestrian walkway from the bottom of the hill all the way to the fire station with the notion of adding several hundred more cars to that? There was an incident where someone actually ran off the road and crossed the Parkway and crashed into a tree. It just happened to be nobody was jogging by there at the time. It doesn't look like a very comprehensive plan to build that nice walkway and then all of a sudden just come along and decide to put several hundred cars there. I think the people that live there, that live in Hoover, deserve to see the traffic study as opposed to, oh, it's acceptable or whatever. I drive it for decades. It has changed. And to your point about the employer, that worked for a number of years strictly because we were all indifferent.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes.
Yeah, so anyway, the traffic is a big issue, and I would like to see the traffic report, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Brian Hasher with Cadre Engineering with the Civil Engineering Project, and I was going to kind of just answer his traffic report question for a minute. Honestly, I don't have a problem with him having a copy of it if he wants it. It's in the application. So in this traffic report, this is not a traffic report that only looked at this one specific intersection that we were at. We worked with city staff. We actually looked at 3 intersections in total. We looked at Inverness Center Parkway, Inverness Center Place. We looked at Inverness Center Parkway at Center Parkway East. And we looked at Inverness Center Parkway at Center Parkway West, as long as a couple other access drives along the way. And in every case, pre-development to post-development from our project, the level of service of these intersections and roadways did not change. And in no case of what we studied, and in no case of what we modeled, did the level of service of any of these intersections or roadways change. I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. When you add apartments, there will be people that leave and come in and out. However, in the effort of creating a mixed-use development, the goal is to be truly mixed use, where people use the uses within their development as a whole more often than leaving every time. So as far as traffic goes, we can't help this. We can't stop the speeding. We can't fix that. That's a city and patrolling effort. But one of the things that was in the traffic study that we did was it did require a left turn lane onto Center Parkway, off of Inverness Center Parkway, in order to get those cars out of the road, which is not there today. And like we mentioned earlier, approved traffic at this point in time for approved uses on this site, we're actually less than what could be there. However, we are still putting that left turn lane in for our development because it is the right thing to do for our traffic.
Any other member of the public like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, I'm Randy Thomas. I represent the ownership of 40, 42, and 44 Inverness Center Parkway, Inverness Center North. We purchased this property a little over a year ago, and we took a great risk in purchasing an office product in a post-COVID world. And I don't have to tell you about that, what's happened across the countryside to office buildings. But we took that risk with the intention of trying to bring this park back online, shall we say. It was occupied for over 20 years from Southern companies, and there were over 1,200 employees in there on a daily basis coming and going. Since we've owned it, we took a hard look at it and found we had 10 to 15 acres of developable unused land, which would have been building 46. That building was never built. It was proposed for Southern companies to stay in 2018, but they did not stay. They moved over to the Colonnade, which they took on 650,000 feet there. I've been a commercial broker for over 30 years in this town, and I have seen what's happening to office parks across the country as well as here. We're seeing it, as someone had mentioned, right now in Inverness. The current ownership of buildings 10, 22, and 31, as well as the Wells Fargo Tower, are all owned by Hertz. Hertz is in a difficult situation, and they have had their loans called, and they are not able to pay their mortgages, which is why you're seeing Inverness Center Parkway becoming desecrated. I personally, because my name is in front of buildings 40, 42, and 44, and getting calls on my cell phone about what can I do to help Inverness Center Parkway. And we, I can assure you, are paying our monthly bills into the landscaping, and we too want to see that happen. We took a look at what we had, and we went out marketing, looking for the right developer. Our number one concern was to put a quality product in there. We did not want any lower income type housing. It had to be quality because we wanted to see a spark in Inverness that hasn't been there since the 80s. You got a lot of buildings out there from 85 to 90, and some of them are vacant, some of them are in trouble. The buildings we purchased were desecrated. We have already put in over $4 million in that project. We've signed 6 leases in the project. We're starting to get some headway in there. If we are not able to continue the headway, you're gonna see that park, along with the rest of Inverness, looking like a lot of those in the country. This is an opportunity with Stoa Group, is a quality developer. We interviewed them hard. We flew them down to our corporate office. We met with them on multiple occasions, and we've put them through the ringer, shall we say. We would not allow this project to go on our property if we didn't think it was quality. So we're reaching out to the council, not only for just this project, but you need to take a look at Inverness, where it's been, where it's at today, and where is it gonna be in 10 years from now if things continue on. This is an important decision tonight. This is not about apartments. This is about what's gonna happen to Inverness in the future. You've got an opportunity to make something happen out there. Now, nobody likes apartments. It's a dirty word in today's development world. I know, I've been in it for years. But if you do it right, and you put something in that the neighborhood can be proud of, the neighborhood can utilize the retail component, you've got something successful. You've seen it happen to the Region buildings on the other side of town in River Chase. That's an exact replica of what's trying to take place here. Now, yes, we've got multifamily, we're not single family, but those people dwelling in those apartments are going to be living in those homes. All of us are getting older. Who's going to buy that 4-bedroom house on Inverness Center Parkway? In 10 years from a lot of us are no longer there, we've sold. We're going to move to apartments, but we want quality apartments. I don't want to cut grass when I'm 65 years old. I don't think any of us do. So that's what this is about tonight. It's about the future of Inverness. What are we going to do with it? We're just going to let those buildings fall apart? Questions?
Any other comments or questions? Anyone from the public?
I do have a quick question,
Yes.
Mr. President. What is the current occupancy rate of the buildings that you're responsible for?
So we took over the project. It had one tenant, FIS. You may remember them. COVID took FIS out. Floors 2 through 6, which were 115,000 feet of a 450,000 square foot development, were occupied. When we bought the property, no one was in it. They continue to pay rent, and they have an opportunity to come out, but there's no one there. The leases that we've signed are in the first floor, building 44, with FIS and building 44. We're now at 95% occupied on building 44. Building 42 is 0. It's our 3rd phase of development. Recently, we have refurbished building 40, and we would invite any of you to come out and take a look at it. The common lobbies are beautiful again. You know, they're up to today's dates. They're not 1985 with hardwood and old dark finishes. We've taken those buildings, refurbished. We've put in Birmingham pulmonary group out of Grandview. We put in a U-shaped driveway for patient drop-off. We're finding that a lot of the medical community in Grandview is wanting to come to us because they don't need to be paying $40 a foot to be next to the hospital when that's really not something, they don't have to get into the hospital. They can come to our property and we can create a medical environment for them so that they'll pay $19.50, and that's why pulmonary came to us. Recently, we've signed the Ardent Corporation, who has 8 child development schools. It's their corporate office. Jim and Nick's Corporation is looking at us to come into our building 40. We've had multiple, Birmingham Forestry has looked at us. We're working with an IT company. We're starting to see activity because we're being aggressive. But we need a place for these young professionals to live. And that's what we're asking for. Look, I'm not a young professional anymore. I don't want to live in an apartment and walk to work. That's not my MO. But I'm here to tell you, there are a lot of people today that are living in apartments that are young, educated professionals, and they want to ride their bike, they want to walk, and they want to go to the restaurant at 6 o'clock with their friends and have a drink. That's today's society. Now, do I agree with it? Not every day, but that's what's happening. And we need to take a look at that and see what we're going to do for them.
We have another resident, Ms. Eaker, would like to speak. Ms. Eaker, if you'll come on down.
Mr. President, I have a comment.
All right, let's get to Ms. Eaker, and then we'll get to you.
Hello, Mitzi Aker, 4062 Highland Ridge Road. I have been a resident of Inverness for 19 years now. I was pregnant when we bought the property. We lived in an apartment on 280, and we decided we wanted to find a place to raise our family. And my son will be graduating from Spain Park on Wednesday. So we have been there. We have seen, I actually lived on 280 for 24 years and 19 years in Inverness. So just some points to educate you guys, so there's 25 apartments in that area. One is in Hoover. I would say the majority of those are in Birmingham City. There's a few unincorporated Jefferson and Shelby County because we're right on the line. So there's lots of apartments there. You know, I lived in an apartment. In fact, market research, there's about 5 new apartments that's the same exact market research as what the developers are planning, which I love that. That's a great idea. That would be awesome to have that stuff there. But what we really need, Spain Park went from 7A to 6A this past year. So what we don't need is people coming in and out of our community. What we do need, because there's limited land in Inverness. We all know that. This is pristine land. What we do need is stuff to draw families to the area, to draw more kids to the area, so we can be 7A again. You know, I was aggravating somebody and I said, yeah, Spain Park baseball team, we're gonna be the first school in the state to get 6A state and then 7A state championships in baseball. Because we want to move back up to 7A. So we want people over on that side. We were probably one of the last new home developments over there, Signature Homes. You know, we moved over there because we wanted a new, nice garden home, and we loved it. Our community's amazing. It's diverse. I think we have 7 different nationalities in our little neighborhood. It's an amazing place to live. Inverness is an amazing place to live. But I would not recommend riding a bike on 280. It's not very walkable. If you're going to do that, you need to partner with Birmingham because we need we need adequate cover there. So I just want y'all to think about Inverness. We need more family places in the other side of Hoover, and we also need a library. Thank you.
Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you for that, Ms. Eaker. To your point, Stowe Group and everybody, look, office parks are problematic. There's no denying that. However, I will say Middlebrooks is seeing a renaissance at the moment, and kudos to the city for that aspect. My issue stems from a lot of the concerns expressed by the community here with the higher density housing being put in there. I don't know how this is going to go, up or down. If it should fail, would you be opposed to lowering the density of the housing to, the city of Hoover, I believe the last I checked, the housing population is, for townhome communities, is less than 4%. So if there's an area of need in the city for housing, it is townhomes. That would be a lower density, that would draw more families, so forth. Would y'all be opposed to that if it should fail?
So, just from a purely economic standpoint, on this site, it doesn't work. You know, it's a smaller site, and just the cost associated with the work that needs to be done and everything just frankly, economically, it doesn't work for a townhome type project. I will also add, and I think, to a little bit touches on that as well, but understanding that you do want people moving to this community that are gonna be lifelong residents. I moved to Baton Rouge, where I live. I moved into an apartment for a couple of years, moved there for a job. I then bought a house after I'd been there for 3 or 4 years, and my wife and I got married. And I mean, I was, young professional, exactly our demographic that we were looking for, and it did exactly this. I moved in an apartment, got engaged, got married. My wife and I moved out, bought a house, and now we have a child on the way. And this is exactly the thing. So you need this piece of the puzzle today with young professionals to be able to create exactly what you were speaking on, creating that next step. If you don't have this piece of the puzzle, that young professional goes and rents elsewhere. It's just what that age demographic is doing. And then buys a home where they're renting because they get to know people in that area. They get to know that grocery store. They get to know the trails and the parks there, and they stay. So you need this step to do exactly what you want to do, but also answer your question.
Let me add one thing. His is more on the development side, mine's going to be more on the technical side, but this specific piece of property, where the apartments themselves sit themselves proper, roughly 10 acres. There's 65 to 70 feet of fall across this property. There's mines on part of this property, underneath this property. When you start talking about a horizontal construction type of townhomes or less dense, this specific property doesn't lend itself to that very easily. Other properties probably would. This one's very difficult. And even the building shapes on this are shaped in order to miss some of these items. The parking in the back helps, the buildings in the front help, because there is such a topography change, and it is underlain with mines in certain parts. So just kind of keep that in mind in this specific one. I don't disagree with you in general. This one's just a weird piece of property where it sits.
Any other comments from the public tonight? We have a motion and a second for adoption of the ordinance. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak? One, okay, got a few more. Good evening.
I'm Amy Perkins. I live at 3203 Glasgow Lane. I just called the Hoover PD today because we started having, I don't notice it because I live on the Battalion side of the Parkway, but we have semis coming through. And I saw one today. So that's kind of another problem with this new Parkway that was put in. I mean, we have kids on those little handlebar scooters and all that kind of stuff. So, but I was told that they're allowed to drive the Parkway. So there was that. We do have a traffic problem. I work with Landmark Landscaping. I don't know if somebody knows about getting the corporate sign cut. And the other thing was if, we have an HOA meeting tomorrow, but I don't know if there's any way that we could schedule a meeting so that you would be willing to meet with the other 9 neighborhoods in Inverness up the hill.
We can't actually delay this one any further, but I'm still happy to meet with you guys. But we have a deadline buying the land moving forward. But I am happy to meet with you guys and show it to you as well. But one of the beauty of this project is also that from just the proximity to our neighbors, we're not up against any actual neighborhoods. We're actually up against Target. So that from an impact, it won't be close to anyone from that kind of proximity.
Yeah, it just kind of changes the flavor of Inverness. Like I live in Carey Downs, and we have 50-year-old trees. We have no street lights. It's kind of, it's just kind of the way it was set up. It's a very kind of woodsy, like secluded kind of. And this is like very modern. It changes Inverness greatly.
I think you couldn't even see this from the street if you tried. It's set way back. We're preserving tree buffers, all the tree buffers that we, lakes, trails. This is very in fitting with that exact kind of atmosphere, actually.
Can I see another hand go up against the wall back there? No? Okay, very good. Now we have a motion and second. I believe it's time to vote. We have a motion and second for adoption of the ordinance. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Posey?
Aye.
Counselor Swiney?
No.
Counselor Driver? Aye. Counselor Murphy?
Aye.
Counselor Middlebrooks?
Nay.
Counselor McClinton?
Nay.
Sorry. I did. Counselor Lyda?
Aye. The vote of 4 ayes and 3 nays, the motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 16, resolution number 8047-24.
This resolution grants conditional use approval for the mixed-use development for the property located at 44 Inverness Center Parkway pursuant to conditions set forth in Exhibit 2 to the resolution. Public hearing is scheduled for this meeting.
Mr. President, I move to approve resolution number 8047-24.
Second.
A motion and second for approval of the resolution. Mr. Martin.
Yes, Mr. President and Council, this is the companion piece as part of the planned unit development in the PC Planned Commercial District. Mixed use designation through conditional use approval is required to permit the residential component to mix in with the retail and office on the site.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Martin on this item? Anybody? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the public? Hearing and seeing none, we have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll now have first readings. Items 17 through 21 will be read tonight. No action will be taken by the ordinance. We'll begin with item number 17, resolution number 8113-24. Mr. Curt.
This resolution authorizes abatement of weed nuisance at 425 Shades Avenue, Hoover, Alabama. Resolution 811424 authorizes abatement of weed nuisance at 2874 Wisteria Drive, Hoover, Alabama. Resolution 811524 authorizes abatement of weed nuisance at 3469 Birch Tree Drive, Hoover, Alabama. And resolution 811624 authorizes abatement of the weed nuisance at 4547 Highland Crest Circle, Hoover, Alabama.
Very good, and then we'll end with item 21. This is an ordinance number 24-2642, a first reading for an ordinance. Mr. Curt.
This ordinance provides for the annual levying of municipal taxes for the city of Hoover, Alabama, and the assessment and collection of such taxes.
Very good. We will consider those at the next meeting for a potential vote. Any questions or comments by the body tonight?
Just one comment, Mr. President, outside of the development itself, I know the police does a fantastic job, but can we put a little bit more energy in this Parkway and policing that area, speeding, not entering our yards regardless of development. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone from the public, anyone else on the line? Very good. Anyone from the public have a general comment tonight? Yes, sir, Dr. DeFranco.
Name's Pete DeFranco, 742 Scout Creek Trail, Hoover, Alabama. I've been up here many times over the past 10 years, and tonight I'm up here to speak to you about the continued problem from the development north of 459 and 150. The part that's causing the most problems is in the city of Hoover. It's Charles Chrysler's development. And every time we've had a rain over a half an inch, he's been out of compliance. And I've sent a picture of that to the council president. I've sent a picture to the mayor. And I sent a picture to the city engineer. And it's always out of compliance, even if it's over a half an inch. I want to know when you're going to get them in compliance. And I want to talk about the draft ordinances that we have. I've seen a copy of the draft. I've helped participate in it to some degree. I can tell you right now, in the draft we have, it would not solve that problem. It would not prevent it. I also want to say that the last home I built in South Walton County in Florida was in 2007. My permit to build that house was $2,500. The city of Hoover's ordinance is $150. Now, if that money were to be going to stormwater management, you guys wouldn't have a problem right now if you were charging even 50% of that. There are a lot of problems with your ordinances. I hope the councilmen, each one of you, take a serious look at what's being done. Your fees are too low for home construction. And the problems like we're having on Scout Creek shouldn't be going on. You've been well aware that we've been getting 80 dump trucks of sediment per year since 2017. I'm just puzzled how y'all approved a developer that has a long list of problems with ADM to develop that piece of property. That's all.
Mr. Martin, Mr. Reeves, can you verify the property he's speaking of, the Kessler project, is not in the city of Hoover, is that correct?
The Kessler project is in the city of Hoover. The adjacent project, the apartment complex, is in Jefferson County.
Very good. Two different projects. Very good. Any other public comments tonight? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Sheree Beavers. I live at 641 South Sanders Road, and I would like to discuss once again about the flooding issue I continue to deal with. Even though the wall and the grate has been built and have saved my front yard, I'm still continuing to get overflow into the bottom of the creek in my backyard. I have lost 3/4 of my yard due to this, and nothing has been done. I have complained about this several times. I am willing to hire someone to come out and fix this problem. I have a pool in my backyard and I have a waterfall. Really don't need to go anywhere, but I can't use it because there's a sewer pipe that runs down there that is now exposed. It is starting to degrade. This has been going on for about the past 3 years. The repairs that were made last year solved my problem in the front. However, my concern is the stormwater has now created a dam of sediment in the backyard, causing the pool of water not to drain properly, which is causing major erosion problems. The problem needs to be addressed immediately to prevent the sewer pipe and the manhole from further damage. I believe that, like I said, I would be more than happy to hire someone to fix this problem, but I feel the city should pay for it because of all the stormwater maintenance that has been degraded stormwater culvert, and the ditches were not taken care of on a regular basis. And this has caused major problems for me. My property value has gone way down. I cannot get the cost of my house and what I want because of this. But I would greatly appreciate the council thinking about this. I will hire somebody, but I do believe that the city needs to pay for this. The city is at fault. They did not maintain the culvert or the ditches to flow properly, and now I am dealing with a major problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beavers. Anyone else? Mr. Eaker, come on down.
I'm Shane Eaker. I live at 4062 Highland Ridge Road.
Over the last 6 weeks, probably to 2 months, there's been a noticed decline of Inverness Center Drive and the maintenance of that area. Before that, it has been beautiful. And I've lived in this area since 2005 and worked in this area since about 2000. And I'm not sure who maintains Inverness Center Drive. I know there's a lot of discussion on the Parkway, but however that gets resolved, let's make sure that we clean up Inverness Center Drive and whatever's going on there too. We're trying to do a lot of development in this area. There's a lot of interest in this area. A lot of people trying to make money in this area. And I think a lot of the concerns we have as residents are being driven by these decline in the, just the aesthetics and the traffic and things that we can do things about. So I just encourage you all to continue to press forward and help us, keep our neighborhoods neighborly.
Thank you, sir. I take that as we're almost done. That brings us to the end of our agenda, end of public comments. Thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry. We're unadjourned. We're going to re-adjourn. We have called this executive session. Mr. Corley, we need a motion and a second for we go to executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Mr. President, I move that we go into executive session.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We do not
We will
expect
not
to reconvene.
That's right. We will not reconvene in this chamber, so you are free to leave. So ready to go.